Well, it is 7:45. I was up at a decent hour, but it's cold. Thermometer says about 35 degrees. And time to get going. Still debating what to do about the fire closure, and might just be making it to the highway and hitching because yesterday, as I was crossing the road leaving Crater Lake, there was firefighters out there, stopping traffic. And one of them was hollering to me over where I was at on the trail. And he says, the trail's closed. I'm like, are you sure? The Park Service told me it was open. And he's like, well, they might tell you it's open, but we're telling people that with high winds, it's dangerous. Once I cross the highway, it's about 30 miles up to Wendigo Pass. And then it looks like it's like 30, 40 miles of road walk to get out of there because that's where it's closed off at. Somebody maintains a water cache up there, and on the 26th, he said that he had filled it up, but then the next day they had closed the road again. So I'm not sure what's going on with the fire, and I'm not sure if I'm going to have much cell phone reception. So I think I'm going to get to the highway and skip around 30 miles. I'm going to hate missing it, but it's better than getting stuck in the middle of nowhere. So I'm getting going, and thermometer still says 35. And it's not real bright. I don't know. Camera adjusts for it. Tried using super steady mode and said that it needed more light for that. But I almost never hike with my puffy on. But it is just a chilly morning, and I've still got my water filter in my pocket because I don't want it to freeze. And gonna figure out, like I said, I think I'm gonna try to hitch. Well, back on the Pacific Crest, I can hear traffic, but that's on the road, the north entrance for the lake. So I saw asphalt trucks and firefighting people. So coming from that way, and I had been walking on the west side of a tall ridge, which meant no sunlight. But I've got some sunlight now. It's 9:15, so I'm going to pull off the puffy coat and get going again. Coming from that way, I've only gone 2 or 3 miles from where I camped, and I see lots of spots that I could camp. Most of the trees that are standing are alive, and most of the blowdowns have been cleared, which I very much like going that way. There are a lot of dead trees just everywhere. Again, the camera doesn't do it justice for just how dim it is down in here. I did 1.5 miles of uphill, but it was basically like 100 to 200 foot of elevation gain in a mile. So it wasn't bad. And at that time, it looked like I was going to get to the road after noon. And now it's on a general downhill. I'm cruising, and it looks like I'll get down to the road before noon. I was looking at the map in the comments. Sounds like there's a really good restaurant in Chemult. I'm not 100% going to stop there, but it's sounding good. And there's a truck stop, and truck stops often have fried chicken. Coming from over there, and I'm going around here, and it's 11 o'clock. I'm only about 1 mile away from the road, and this has been it. I promise I'm not holding out on you, not showing you all the beautiful views. Just hasn't been much to look at. It's been a very easy to walk trail, and it's warmed up to, what was it just a minute ago, 60. So still a cool morning. It's 11:20. Wind just picked up. I'm going to try to hitch that way, and I don't know what's going on with the fire. Don't know if I'll make it all in one trip or if it's going to take a couple of hitches. So it might be all day. Now it's 11:40. Spent a few minutes helping another hiker get their bearings. They were originally going to get off here, but they changed their mind and wanted to try going up, see about the fire closure. People might be hiking through the fire closure, and I'm not saying I would, but I'm definitely not going to do it while I'm documenting everything on the internet. So it really didn't take very long to get a ride. Enjoyed the conversation. He gave me a peach, and I am in Chemult. The Ponderosa doesn't open till 4, so I'm at KJ's Cafe. Give me a bite to eat, start looking about a hotel room, resupply. There's the truck stop. Now, I don't see any signage indicating fried chicken, but I'll still check it out. Just a neat place. This town doesn't have a Motel 6. I'm going to check this place out because it's close. Pretty much this town isn't big enough for anything to be far away from much, but it's close to everything I need. Well, it's clean. I almost expected to see like the old wood paneling. That would have been very cool. Got everything I need. I've already eaten, so I'm going to get cleaned up, work on resupply, and making my plans pretty much for the rest of Oregon. So I got out here, started hitching at 12:15. Just took me a long time to get videos uploaded. Looking for Wi-Fi, just using the cell phone was faster. Within 5 minutes, somebody stopped and asked. They're going up to Bend, so they're not quite going by where I need to go. But he had seen the sign and said PCT hiker. Now that he knows about the PCT, he had picked up a hiker the other day. So it does help, lets people know what you're about, but it's only been 5 minutes, so I'm going to drop the pack and see how this goes. Now it's been a half hour. I kind of wish I had taken a partial hitch from that first person that stopped. It's 2 o'clock. Really wishing I had taken that first hitch. Would have gotten me 10 miles up and onto the same road, Highway 58, that I'm going to be getting to. Might have made things easier. Might have helped if I got started earlier too, but time flies when you're in town. Some other hikers have been in town and they see me. They walk down the road, started putting their thumbs out. That's terribly rude. So after 2.5 hours, or no, definitely over 2 hours, I went back to KJ's cafe because the owners had said if I didn't get a ride all day, they could give me a ride. So I went back, ate another cheeseburger, and then they gave me a ride, and I am so appreciative. They had offered those other hikers too, but they must have gotten a ride right before the cafe closed. So, what is it? It's about 4:45. And I've got time to get some more hiking in. Got a little over 5 miles of uphill, but it doesn't look like it ought to be that steep. So hopefully I can make good time. I'd like to make 6 miles to a cabin. This is Lower Rosary Lake. And part of the reason I was excited about this section of trail because of all these lakes. Now, I'm going to be drinking a lot of lake water. Can you see how clear that is? But it's 4:45. A little bit early to make camp, but I passed a hiker that I hadn't seen for a while, and he said, I think his exact words were, it's going to be a party at the shelter, as in a lot of people there, which is not really what I'm interested in. So I'll get water. Probably won't stop at any of these campsites here. I'm not going to rule it out if I see a really good one. I could take some time, collect some crawdads and boil them up. He's a pretty good sized one too. That's not glittering. That's a whole bunch of bugs. Not mosquitoes, maybe like mayflies or something. Or mosquito cranes. Anyway, there's a whole bunch of them. Can just barely make the ducks out. Here's the outlet of the lake, and the water's cooler than I expected. And this is Lower Rosary Lake. There's a upper and middle. And I can't imagine the water's going to be better at them, and it's only like a half-mile away, so I'm going to fill up here. And then Upper Rosary Lake, which is the smallest. I think it's the smallest. Anyway, it looks more shallow than the others. Right out there is a bird coming up from there back into the trees. And it's a little bit steep and the water's heavy, but I've only been hiking for a couple of hours, so I think I can handle it going up that way. I think I can find a good campsite with a beautiful view and no other hikers. Well, here's the view I was looking for. If you can see the lakes down there. Coming up from that way. And yeah, it was a nice view. There was already a hiker there. And I didn't want to see that sunset anyway. Here in a little bit, I think the trail's going to cross over a ridge. I'm sure I can find something over there. So I crossed over the ridge, came down from that way. I see a lot of spots that probably would be good tent sites, except somebody went and knocked down all their trees. Still pretty. And it's just a little bit after 6. I got plenty of time. This is the Maiden Peak Shelter. And talked to a couple of lady hikers. They're northbounders, but they're doing this section southbound. But they told me there was nobody here. And looks like they're right. And they helped me shame another hiker who said he planned on having a fire, even though there's a burn ban in effect and there's active wildfires around right now. I'm sorry, just because you've never started a wildfire before doesn't mean you might not. And have to go slow, low light. Phone doesn't pick up real good, but fancy. Has a solar panel outside. Oh, maybe I should have dropped my pack. It even looks like an old chest up there. You can't see any of that. Very reminiscent of some of the shelters on the AT. I'll check out what's in there in a little bit. But I think I'm going to stay. I'm sure there's mice. There's always going to be mice. Hello. Here's a really nice flat spot. And it is a nice little cabin. But It was like 75 degrees today. I don't think it's going to be cold enough to want a fire in there. So, I think I'll go and get my stuff set up out here. Electric lights are nice, but only if you plan on staying up after dark. I need to get my stuff set up and then get this video edited.